Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Titan Business Builders. And today we have another Titan in the room. It's Eric Kades, CEO of TextChat.com. Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
Hi, Stefan. How are you? I'm doing great, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's always great to see new faces on our podcast and to know everything about your story and your business. And yeah, we always send some questions beforehand. And one of the questions was, how did you become like an entrepreneur? And when I read your story, it immediately made me think about Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if that's a fine example to use, but you started also creating like a store within your basement and mowing lawns and stuff like that. So tell me more about how did it came to you as an entrepreneur?
I think, Stefan, honestly, it must be born into me to some extent. My mother owned the flower store for 25 years, and my father built an investment management company. And from the youngest age, I was enamored with and intrigued by solving problems. And then the relationship of solving those problems and the value creation. So like you said, my first business was a candy store in my basement because my friends wanted sweets after we would play ball in the backyard. So I served that need and provided value to them. And then onto a lawn mowing business in my neighborhood and a car detailing business, an event business in college. And, really just followed along these different paths to eventually in the year 2000, I ended up in the contact center business, answering and making customer support phone calls for businesses in the cable industry, healthcare industry, politics, on and on and on, really, many, many different verticals. And really that kind of what launched my real career, my 20-year plus career of learning how to serve customers, not only my customers, but their customers as well, as an outsourced customer support provider.
So would you say it's like many people say, like you have to try a lot of things before you actually get to the point that you find what you really love and like doing, and that you can build upon that? Because you've done so many things. Why did you fall in love with what you're doing right now?
I think it was an evolution of contact center business. I kind of fell into. There was an opportunity that I took advantage of, and it became successful from the start. So I was on my way. Took me a lot of time to get to that place. And over that time, I started to get, making money is nice, but I started to get more excited about solving people's problems, helping people, the technology side of how we can use technology to help people. One of the first things we did in our current company was we built an SMS-based chatbot that helped low socioeconomic status students through the financial aid process here in the US, which is very difficult to navigate. Even the professors that we were working with on the project didn't even know all the rules and ins and outs, and we would be calling the state and local governments to figure out what the students would have to do. But through that experience, I saw how my knowledge was able to help 1,000 low socioeconomic status students get more financial aid than their peers who are not in that economic class. And it actually brought tears to my eyes. And it was one of those kind of life-changing moments. And from that point forward, it's been about how can I do things that help people in their lives. And it really has culminated in, because I lost my mother at a young age to a terrible disease. I learned from that experience that, and we never stop learning, that time is our most valuable resource. And it's the only one we can't replace. We can always make more money. So now the rest of my career is really focused on how can I save my customers time, and then how can I save their customers time in creating efficient interactions to get product resolution, service resolution, whatever that may be.
Yeah, and I think that's an important one because you also mentioned that having that live interaction with somebody is huge in terms of conversion, right? Um, what is it that makes people want to have that live conversation when they come on a site, want to know more about a product? Why don't they just look through the site as many people would think, because they say, I have everything on the site, just look there. But each time, and I do this myself as well, I look for how can I contact somebody live so I can just ask the question that I have, right? How important do you think this will be in the next few months, years for any business?
I don't think it's going away. I own a chatbot company, an AI chatbot company, but we're using that technology to get people speaking to people more efficiently. I don't see in the next decade or 2 decades a chatbot totally replacing a human being. I'll give you an example. My Microsoft Outlook crashed this morning, and I went on and had a live chat with a Microsoft customer support person that solved my problem. It was a piece of cake. They came on, they took control of my computer. They didn't ask me for $1, and they solved my problem. Well, now I love Microsoft. So what we're seeing, and this is just, an amazing statistic, and I could go on and on and on, but when we noticed in our live chat business that we handle for 50 plus institutions, when we changed from a picture of a very robotic looking chat feature to pictures of people, just 2 faces on a little widget. On our own website, we increased conversion by 800% of people speaking with us. Across the board in my business, when I realized this in our contact center business, we drove revenue up 20 to 30% in our business because I made every one of my clients go to pictures of people. So that answers the question. People do want to communicate with people, and really, most people in the digital world today are trying to figure out every way to convert without using humans. Well, if you look at, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but we have a very famous online shoe brand here called Zappos.com. I'm sure it's global by now. Amazon bought it for $1 billion or more, and one of the largest online retailers. Well, if you go to their website, it'll say Zappos.com powered by service. And then on the top left, it says, call us 24/7, 1-800, blah, blah, blah. But what do you see on every other website? You see 15% off, 25% off, trying to get you to buy. Well, they've realized, and most of the great brands have realized, that when you foster human interaction, you create better customers, you get higher conversion, you have higher profit margins, and on top of that, you have better reviews, which is so crucial in today's business world because people got the support that they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's true. Huh? The human connection is something we should strive for in any kind of business, I would say. Not only on the chatbot, even if you really want to have a deep connection, call people, right? Don't expect the automation to do everything for you. I'm building my experience within this online business, and when I try to reach out to people, I use the automation for sure, like everybody. But at a certain point, you think about like what makes me different than others, and it's the human connection, right?
Exactly.
It's calling people, it's trying to get them on the phone and just having a chat with them. What's wrong with that? I think a lot of people have aversion to that somehow. I don't know why, because it's fun to connect with people like we do. So yeah, it's funny to see that a lot of people still try just the automation part and not the human part.
I think it's going to start to come finally. the e-commerce people are going to realize it. There's a couple things going on in the world at this minute with Apple and iPhones blocking out Facebook from retargeting. I mean, I'm talking to e-commerce companies that were making $1,000 a day and are now losing $2,000 a day on the exact same ads because people are not allowing Facebook to see more of their privacy throughout the Apple App Store. So you're going to have to do it to compete going forward. If there are two businesses and one answers quickly and gives you a solution to the problem, you're going with that business again, and again. And with the explosion of e-commerce, look at Shopify's numbers. How many e-commerce stores are being launched every day? Well, what does that mean? That means ad prices are going up and it's getting more competitive than ever. Well, the only way you're going to differentiate yourself is if you have a higher level of customer support.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've built this program really to help with that problem, right? To help fix it almost with human interaction. Now, if you think about the growth and the journey of your company right now, where would you say was the biggest hurdle to convince people that live interactions is the way to go?
It's interesting. Conversion, there is a direct relationship between speed of answer and conversion and reputation. Okay? But our challenge still exists today in TextChat. It's a very new business. We launched in December of 2000. And our biggest struggle right now is convincing people of that because it goes against human behavior. So live chat is when someone pops up and says, hey, how can I help you? There's really a human being there. That's the greatest experience of all. That's what I had with Microsoft today. I got my problem resolved. I love Microsoft now. I'll go talk about Microsoft because they solved my problem in 15 minutes. But when we've gone to thousands of e-commerce websites that have live chat buttons on them. Over 80% of them do not answer it. So what we've realized is, okay, live chat is broken and live chat doesn't work because what these people don't even know is they're damaging their brand and their business. And they're breaking a promise to someone. They're saying, come in, give us your name and email. We'll get you a live agent. And then you see a message, we'll get back to you in 72 hours. Well, the problem is human behavior for most people. We don't want to have to respond immediately. We want to respond when we have the time to respond. Now, TextChat was created for those people that want to respond immediately. So we have wildly successful customers and stories, how they're answering their text chats at 10:30 at night in bed and closing $500,000 sales and opening up new divisions around the world because they want to get at that person. And if you look at speed to lead, it just drops, right? Like straight down the mountain when from, immediately within a minute to 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes. But that's not human behavior. The way we message today is if I text you or SMS you, you're going to respond maybe immediately, maybe when you want to, maybe 45 minutes later. When we go into any of these messaging apps, it's the same thing. So our struggle is convincing people that they have to answer immediately to have higher conversion rates, but we're not going to be able to change human behavior. It would cost too much money. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars in the 50s to convince people, which is billions of dollars today, to convince people that smoking was healthy. And I don't have that kind of money to grow this business. So what we're doing now is instead of solving the problem of making it easy to answer a live chat on time, which is the big part of the solution, we're also making it an elegant way to not answer immediately, but still have that conversation on your website. And that comes through a follow-up mechanism that we're building in. But I would say, and I've built successful businesses up to 2,200 employees, and it took time and trial and error and failures to figure out what that growth pattern was, I looked at TextChat and said, you know what, Eric? You are not going to change human behavior. As much as you think every business owner should want to respond instantly to their customers, they don't. So you now have to adapt your product to handle that bigger set of people to do that. So, as far as what's that thing that's working, the one thing that is working is when we demo the product for someone, they buy it right away. We tried every Facebook ad under the sun, even giving away money to get people to come buy TextChat, and they could never really understand it. But what I did know was that when I showed it to someone, they would buy it. So what we've started doing is we're now reaching out. We're doing outbound efforts, calling, emailing, texting, whatever it may be, to say, hey, we have something that's great for your business. When we get a demo, we close them at a very high rate. So we're in the early innings of scaling that part of our outreach out right now.
That's a great point that you mentioned there in the sales cycle and in the sales process, where the demo is super important. So instead of just trying to figure out what people really want, is just showing what you actually have in a demo that is so convincing that you don't even need to do any other part of the convincing, right?
Yeah, that we definitely have with TextChat. When people see the wow factor of having a live conversation with someone on their website by receiving a text message, that's a pretty, there's a bit of like magic there. They're like, wow, how did they do that? Because obviously there's a bunch of different systems that are integrated to make that happen.
Awesome. So how does the future look like then for TextChat? Like, what are the next steps to keep scaling the company?
So we're very focused on certain verticals. Every business I've ever grown exponentially has been vertical focused, whether it was higher education or cable. Those were two of our biggest successes in those niches. TextChat is a much broader product, but what we're finding is we're having a lot of success in the health and fitness area, that those people are more motivated to answer right away. They're getting a commission. And of course, all their businesses due to COVID are, 10, 20% where they used to be. So they're hungrier than ever. So as a result of my past experience, I said, you know what, we're going to go all in on health and fitness, and we're going to go after gyms and yoga studios and Pilates studios and all those types of businesses. And in order to do that, we're going to have to partner with people that already have lots of clients in the industry. So we're already talking to other CRMs that are focused on the industry to integrate our product into it, as well as we'll now be having booths at the health and fitness trade shows and things like that, and building lists of health and fitness centers. There's like 70,000 in the US. So there's plenty for this to build a big sales team of going after these companies. And, really, you have to kind of try everything. You want to go direct, you want to do integrations, partnerships, affiliates, communities. You really need to do it all. Social media, that's how we're going to go hard after that vertical. And of course, social proof. So you need the customer saying, this is amazing, I'm increasing my revenue, et cetera, et cetera.
So, Eric, do you still sleep at night if you have to do all of that? So, or do you have like already a big team, or you're building your team?
So I'm fortunate enough to have been growing my team. We raised a seed round in May of 2020 for TextChat. And I had never raised money before. All of my other businesses, the one that even grew to 2,200 employees, was self-funded. So you do not have to raise capital to be successful. Frankly, the capital can kind of get in the way sometimes and spoil you and make you make some bad decisions that you wish you didn't make. But it does enable you to fail a little faster. So the answer to your question is twofold. It's like, yes, I have a team, but when for whatever reason, and maybe it's my neurosis, I'm crazy. I love solving the problem. So I don't sleep until I solve the problem and find the clear path. And then I dial back and I relax. And I'm kidding, a little bit. I actually do think it's important to step away from work. And when you're in those founding stages, you have to do it all, even take out the trash. But when you start to find the right roles and what your needs are and hire those right people, it's important as a CEO to be able to take a step back and just think, like literally just step away from everything and think. And that's usually when the next big breakthroughs come to. For instance, we're struggling with the fact that some customers love TextChat, they answer all the time, but others, I'm not going to say they're lazy, but for whatever reason are not able to answer right away, which frustrates me. And that kept me up for a few nights trying to figure out the answer to, okay, I'm never going to change their human behavior. What am I going to do to make TextChat so it fits in with human behavior? So without that stepping away, it's very hard to make the advancements.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I think you're on the right track for sure. And of course, like you have to balance a little bit. Being an entrepreneur, we all know that once you do that thing that you're really passionate about, it doesn't really almost matter how much time you spend on it, as long as it's growing. At a certain stage, we need to find back some time, like we can switch off. But yeah, I do acknowledge that it takes time and effort to grow this kind of a business. So yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I like the idea to turning it into a real business stage, which is always so painful. I think I'm on my last one, that's for sure.
Good. Well, Eric, where can people find you actually, or TextChat? I think I have a link here. There we go. I think they can go here, right? If they want to.
Yeah, anyone can go to textchat.com and start a conversation with us to find more about how it works, set up a demo right on the website.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's really simple. It doesn't really require any training. And the stories, I could go on and on and on. The businesses we've saved during COVID that didn't have e-commerce presences, where we just gave them TextChat. And now their customers were still able to get in touch with them and kind of have a virtual selling environment, which with a human being. And we're, adding all kinds of features all the time to TextChat as well.
Awesome. Well, everybody that's really interested in this can go to textchat.com. And if you get a demo, be ready to implement it in your business because it's a great product. Cool stuff. All right. Thanks, Eric, for coming on the show. Thanks for your time. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And we'll see each other next time with another Titan. See ya.
Bye-bye.